Okay, good, Carl. So now you're just going to take us through the S31 just to see some of the features and capabilities. Please just let us know again the maximum inputs, maximum outputs, and all the different cool things that this mixer has.
100%. So, as mentioned with the S21 and S31, um, straight out of the box is the console is capable of doing 48 inputs and 16 flexi outputs. Now, those 16 flexi outputs are purely assigned to sort of your mixers or groups. On top of the 16, we also have 8 matrix outputs and 2 solo buses and a dedicated master left-right. Some other stuff that's also nice that's key on the console as well is that on the back we have access to 24 physical inputs as well as 12 physical outputs, a digital AES in and out, and as mentioned earlier as well, the UB MADI, so that's 48 channels of recording and playback. With that as well, we have a bunch of option cards that can fit into this desk. So we have the 2 DMI slots, which are 64 channels in and out each. These cards could be Dante, could be Waves, could be Aviom, there's Clang, there's a whole bunch of different options that we actually have there as well. Just going through a bit of the layout of the console is we've got our S31 here with us, we've got our 3 touch screens, we've got our 30 faders. Just sort of looking at some of what we have here is we have a bunch of rotaries that are assignable. They are also push rotaries. Below that we have our solo buttons, so we are able to solo our channels. We have our mutes that we can mute everything, unmute. Touch sensitive faders, which as you can see, as I touch the faders, the channels light up as well. This also applies with the, if I go down, this applies with the rotaries as well. We have some assignable rotaries on the side here. This links to a bunch of features depending on what page we're in. Our headphones, headphone volume. We have a, when we do snapshots, so if we have multiple, for instance, bands, we can jump between the different bands. We've got our page up and down, so we go through the different layouts. We have a set spool button, which is just a nice little feature to get to channels very quickly that we need, specific channels. And then one of my favorite buttons is the overview button, which I like to call the 4 diamonds. The minute we hit that, we are able to see everything in the console. This is also a very nice way of navigating around the console very quickly in case you've lost something or you don't know where it is. The minute you hit this and we see something we need, we can simply just touch on the screen, and that bank will immediately pop up. So very, very quick to be able to jump around the board. Right, looking at some of the key things that we have here. If we open up a input channel, we can see very nicely how our channel is laid out and how the signal path goes. So on the left-hand side, we have our source that we can select. Here we can patch different things. So for instance, right now I'm just going to patch some pink noise so we can see some signal. And then we can follow the line. So what we have is our input processing. So this will be things like high pass, low pass filters, delays. And one of the nice features they've got here is the tube. So we are able to actually switch a DigiTube on. And from here we can warm up the signal. We can overdrive the signal. So if you push this up high, you're going to get a nice bit of distortion, but otherwise you can mess around with that and really, really fine tune your input. Following the line here, we've got our inserts. So we have inserts before processing and after processing, and both of these can be used, which is great. Our channel processing, we've got our basic, let me turn that off. We've got our EQ, our 4 bands of EQ that we can play around with. Really fun feature with this is that once we select a specific band, we can also pinch and expand because these are multi-touch screens. And if we need to reset it, we can either flatten everything or we can just double tap to reset the specific band that we're working with. From there, we can also switch on our RTA. So every input and output has an RTA that we can have a look at. We also have our dynamic EQs. Again, is another very special feature that this console offers. This allows us to take specific bands and either expand on it or use it to compress that specific band. So great examples is a lot of the guys when they talk into a microphone and you get a nice pop over the PA system, we can actually go find round about where that frequency is, adjust the threshold, and when those P's, when they pronounce it, when we get those pops, it'll actually just dip that specific frequency out, keeping it nice and full range once it goes back to normal. Looking at our compressor, so we've got a very, very easy compressor to monitor. Again, what they've tried to go with the DiGiCo and the S series is everything is very, very visual. You can really see what you're doing. On top of a normal compressor, we have 21 multibands that we can play around with. So there's a good view of the multibands, allowing us to select the crossover points, and we can adjust what we need from there, which is quite nice. Below that, we have our gate. So here, again, just very, very visual. You can really see what you're doing with the signal. And also being able to choose where to trigger your gate from in the frequency. Right, the other thing that we've got here, so talking about the UB MADI earlier, is here's our recording send. We can come in here, select the different channels we want. Once we do a little patch there, it is now actually sending this channel directly from the preamp, whether it's on the back of the console or on your stage rack, straight to your recording device, which is great because then you could use that for some post-production stuff, have a very clean signal. Any EQ or dynamics that you do does not affect the recording. And to play it back, we have a button that we can hit. As I hit this button, you'll see the little arrow drop down, and this is letting us know it's now playing from that channel. So once we've recorded a band, for instance, and the band goes away, we can now actually hit a global button to put the whole desk into listening to the PC, and we can do a virtual sound check like the band was there. Right, navigating around the console. So again, as I mentioned, the overview, we can just touch on the buttons we want. We can also take this a step further and we can also customize the console. So we can now move things around, make the layout work the way we want. So for instance, if you want a input channel and an output channel next to each other, that's very easy to do. All you do is you drag your output channel next to your input channel. We can have spaces between some stuff. We can swap whole banks around. So we can really manipulate our workflow and make this work the way we need it. We're not locked to a specific architecture with it. All right, and that is pretty much a quick run through of what we can do on this console. As mentioned, when we do sell these consoles, we really go in depth and show the guys exactly how everything works. We take them through the features. We'll make sure that that guys are extremely comfortable on the surface. Yep, that is pretty much it, and thank you so much for that.